Here we are, clear skies for June of 2021, titled up Vertical Acceleration. Today I'm coming from the sunny side of the Arbuckles. It is sunny outside, but a little breezy, so we opted to do the filming from inside the cabin here. And I'm joined today with our star representative in New York City, Terry Carmody of Integration Media. Hey, Terry, how's everything going up there in New York City these days?
It's been pretty damn good, Chris. It's nice to see you as well. A lot of increased activity from the advertising community, which is just obviously incredibly welcomed by so many. But it's been really encouraging and been exciting.
Great. Have you been out? I know you've told me a few about visiting drinks, golf, dinners with the buy side.
I try to get out to see as many people as I can. Not a lot of people are back in their offices yet, though I hear some are trickling back in. So I've been trying to find, as many opportunities as possible where people are at least willing to go meet up, whether it be lunches, whether it be drinks, dinners. I did a client dinner last Thursday. I've got a couple things set up for next week. I've certainly, over for that matter, since last summer, get as many people out to play golf as possible. And it's nice to see how many people want to get out. They miss the face-to-face interaction. Obviously, the enjoyment of sharing a drink and some laughs. So it's been good, and it's fun to continue to build on that.
Excellent. Well, our topic is the vertical acceleration, and what exactly do I mean by that? It's just like historically, you've had the relationships with the agencies. Been there, that's coming through, but this automation, all the new guidelines that have come out, we're going to talk about a lot of that at a later point in a different series. But for right now, the big thing that I've wanted to do is connect to revenue sources. Different platforms, different verticals is what I call them. So accelerating our vertical revenue connections, and that's really what we're kind of focusing our discussion on today, and the things and nuances around it. But for some of the companies that have recently joined in, and for those that are in the future, we're creating this document or this video to be able to explain kind of the IBO Co-op Speedway. How does it function? What is it? Came into play about 15 years ago. I'm a real estate broker, and we created a multiple listing database service for available houses, in this case there are available billboard faces. And so we operate in that function on a break-even basis for the services that we do. And we want to basically connect to as many buying channels as we can, and structure it so where we have a team that's in place that is affordable, economical, and that represents the whole of our group very, very well. The key thing too is where we've been looking at footprint, we're learning that the buying community is now very much acceptable on the word aggregation. And so what IBO is functioning as in this co-op, I've been doing so for 15 odd years, is aggregating our available inventory. And Terry, as it relates to that, speak to some of the things as how you see our IBO Speedway and your interaction with us and that buy side.
It's been close to 7 years that we've been working closely with you and your team. My team has grown just as your team has grown.
How many are you up to now?
Well, we've got about 15 people now working within our, under us.
Wow.
And a lot of that growth has been due to just keeping up the volume that both the IBO has grown, and as the IBO has grown, more inventory grows more sales. That many more markets. It's been a fun and exciting thing to bring to the agencies. It's been very well received, and it's forced us to grow. We actually just brought 2 more people on this week, which has been very encouraging and fun to do.
Awesome. Well, IBO's up to about 8 now, different with our team that's there, and realistically, it's a wonderful. So between our 2 teams, we're in the low mid 20s as far as team size on how we're doing. It's really a force to be reckoned with. So realistically, that's very awesome. What about those relationships? Tell us about some of that.
Well, a lot of it starts with the fact that our relationship with the IBO is as strong as it is. It gives confidence and comfort when we go to agencies and tell them, look, we are the group that's aligned with the IBO. We are the ones that are, tasked by them to go get national sales. And and I make it clear to everybody, we've been working with the IBO for 7+ years. They have conferences biannually. I speak at them every time. My team, a couple people of my team often come. That constant interaction has really developed deep, strong relations with a lot of the individual operators. And it gives confidence in the agencies when they're talking to us that we really are talking to people who are working on behalf and have direct relationships with the actual owners of the media. That's different than a lot of other people that may try and represent, that find people via the internet and try to sell to them on their behalf. I assure people that's just not how we built our business. We built our business literally from the ground up with direct relationships with the owner-operator. And that honesty, that transparency really goes a long way as far as creating that strength of relationship with the agencies, and has just continued to help us build the volume of sales.
Awesome. Well, more along the lines of how people ask with the name Integration Media, it's amazing, but we have really come a long way since over those 7 years on how closely our teams are integrated. You basically are set up to handle, I could go out and figure out how to hire a New York City staff and kind of do all those same functions. It just doesn't make sense. Your team is our team. We want you in that role to fit there. We, on the other hand, are more of the administrative backside, or in the case of Lisa Rondina or Will Denton, the more smaller agencies. I know we've had a couple of people comment, well, if you've got Terry, why do you need these others? Well, there's only so much time and resource that's out there, and there's 10,000 ad agencies. So we want to not leave any stone unturned. And if we can, at IBO, can find some of those local and small regionals that don't want to fall through the cracks. They've got business, and we want to go attack that. So that's kind of how are done. So what about your relationships as it relates? And you spoke to it a little bit, but how is this being portrayed? For instance, you and I traveled around a lot in 2019 to get in front of those different ad agencies. Tell us how that interconnection, how that's helping you.
It's a huge help. I've been doing this for over 20+ years, and I've done it. I started at a small company, and I was calling everybody across the country. Through that, I obviously made great relationships that still stand today. But then I was also at Clear Channel, and I was there for 6+ years, working on one of the largest accounts in the country. And through all that, I just got to know all the different agency people in, certainly the New York, Chicago's, and LA's, but also in the Dallases and the Bostons and the Miamis. We have a very strong depth of relationships, and even people on my own team. Some of them, it's one of the things I actually tell a lot of agent clients. Is like, we understand your side of the table, and what I mean by that is, Ellen, who's my right arm, who runs so much of the day to day. She came from a large national agency called MediaVest. She ran the Comcast account at one point. She ran the Walmart account at one point. She was very high up in the out-of-home world, in the agency side. Veronica, another team member, worked with Ellen at the same time. And then Greg Scarpati came from a large agency called Posterscope. So we've got very long-standing relationships, not just from my many years in the business, but also people who work with us who have worked with a lot of our clients in the past. And it gives them comfort when we know how to speak their language, when we understand what their deliverables are to their client, instead of saying, well, why do you need this? Why do you need it quick? Or that doesn't seem like... We get why they're asking. We don't need to ask that. And that gives them comfort, because they do get people who ask why. We know why. It's not that they may want to do it that way. We know it's their client demanding it. So the many years of knowing people, as well as the many years of understanding what they need, has really developed extremely strong relationships with a tremendous amount of people across the country.
The other thing that I've noticed is a huge value to me is your knowledge of the inner workings of how the different agencies and the sub-agencies interact, and how the people have moved from one place to the other. They had that account when they were there. Now they've got this account there. All that stuff is just invaluable, the historical perspective that you bring to the table for us. It's, in my opinion, irreplaceable. So thanks for all that. So shifting over now into what are our goals? there's a lot of aspirations and goals, and there's really just one aspiration that I have, and I'm going to bump into it. We were going to talk about them a little later, but there's really just one. It's been a mantra of mine and others. Our media side spends so much time, wasted time and effort with these RFPs. There's a new directive that's out that OAAA has, the Open Direct, that's going to really force our industry into more automation. And so my goal, my aspiration is that we would eliminate the RFP process through some of the efforts that we've done. And we're really kind of close in a couple of connections to be able to do that, to just go to the RFOs. So along that, to hit that big picture, what would our mini goals be? One, we need to aggregate and band all of our inventory together in one common place for one call placements they could plan off of our inventory and then call Terry and coordinate the buys where there's one-stop shop. We want to be able to connect as many workflows, the varieties that are out there, the Billboard Planet Quantums, the IUTAs, the Signleys, etc., so that they can all come together and be automated, and so where we can give live pricing and availability. We then want to, as I referenced, to connect to as many verticals, different buying platforms that can bring us unique business, that are not chummers out there just trolling the internet, etc. We want the agency of record or the buying brand of record or whoever it is of record to come to us and then be able to give them the best price and the best service. So what types of things, Terry, do you see coming from this as a resource to the buying community?
So that's a big part of what my explanation, my sales pitch, my purpose of going to agencies. I try to really stress to them how we have become a tremendous resource to them. This aggregation under the IBO is so tremendous. It by itself is bigger than Outfront. It by itself is bigger than Clear Channel. It's only second to Lamar. And let's all be honest, Lamar's bought so many different companies because they want to be also very easy one-stop shopping. Well, we've been fortunate enough with the IBO to really kind of do something incredibly similar, and certainly the only thing that really compares to Lamar's national footprint. So I stress very hard to my clients, the different agencies, that look, we can help you and make your life a lot easier. If you have an RFP that's going out to 10 different markets and you're trying to reach out to 5 to 10 different operators, that's ultimately 50 to 100 different responses that are coming back. That's 50 to 100 different spreadsheets that are coming back that they've got to spend hours and hours putting together. And a lot of these holding companies, it's, for those that have experience with it, they understand, half the time these guys are competing for business, it comes down to price. And I mention that only because when they win a new account, the previous account had 5 people working on the out-of-home team. Now the new agency is going to have only 4 people working on out-of-home. It's a difficult cycle, but it does make it difficult for the agencies to accomplish the work they want to accomplish. So when we come to the table with so much, as well as with such strong relationships, it is a resource, and many of them have started to realize how much time we can save them, how many little simple things in their spreadsheets can save them, how many phone calls they don't have to have. And on the back end execution, they don't have to get all of these, pardon me, they don't have to get all these phone calls from people looking for payment, or all those different invoices and all that stuff. So in so many different ways, it saves them time and resources. So it's been something that's been very welcomed by a lot of people, and it's something we've been able to continue to build on. And a lot of people, I've always told them quite simply, look, if you think of Lamar, think of us. Because a lot of times when you see just multiple markets, you're just thinking go to them. Well, many of them are now saying, you're right. When we think of Lamar, we're also thinking of Integration Media. Because of what you're bringing to the table. So we're trying to make life a lot easier as more and more work with us, and we get bigger and bigger as an IBO, IMI collective. They're realizing this is incredibly helpful.